Jeez. What a dump. His party sucks. But I guess I'm stuck here for this video at least. So, in fitting with this whole crappy party theme, why don't we talk about the worst minigames of all time from Mario Party. So Mario Party Superstars has been announced, and it's gonna include 100 minigames from Mario Party's history. Again, so instead of making a list of 10 minigames I want to see included in the game, I thought it'd be a lot more funny if I talked about 10 minigames I don't want to see in the game, i.e. the top 10 worst Mario Party minigames. Okay, sweet, but quickly before we begin, if you guys want to see more countdown ranking videos like this one, then click subscribe as I have many ideas for these types of videos in the future. And you can see my whole ranking playlist in the description. So with all that being said, let's begin this video. So, let's get this party started here with the number 10 spot. And the first minigame we're talking about is from the game Mario Party 4, and it's called Candlelight Flight. In this game, one player runs around with a candle and tries to keep it lit, while the other three try and spray that candle with water guns. But the thing that makes this game really annoying is how dark everything is, and the more you spray the candle, the darker it gets. Honestly, I hate when games do this, when they use this whole darkness or not being able to see as a gameplay gimmick. Like, it's good in horror games where it enhances the atmosphere and the scares, but this is Mario Party, just let me see what I'm looking at. It makes controlling your character way more annoying. What doesn't help that is the fact that the controls aren't even great to begin with. See, every time you shoot your little water gun here, you briefly have to stand in place while firing. I get why it's done for balancing and such, but that doesn't make it any less annoying when trying to control these characters. And all of this makes for a frustrating minigame to play. So Mario Party is no stranger to having luck in their games, but then there are the minigames that are 100% luck-based. And while these games aren't the greatest by any means, they still can provide some interesting and tense scenarios. For example, the tension of having to cut the right rope, having to pull the trigger that won't set off this bomb, or even having to bet on who will win in a race. But then there's the game Deck Hands from Mario Party 7. And in this minigame, all you do is simply pick 3 cards that have numbers on them. Then the player with the highest sum from the numbers on their cards wins the game. That's it. And it's honestly as boring as it sounds. You just randomly pick 3 cards. There's no skill or strategy. And like I mentioned with the others, there's not even any tension this time because your picks aren't a do or die scenario here. You can choose a crappy card at the start and still come back at the end. So there's nothing to even keep you at the edge of your seats for this one. I mean, come on, it's a boring pick a card game. That's really it. So the 1 versus 3 mini games. Now this can be a difficult task to create these games if you think about it. You have to balance the work of 1 player to go against 3 players. And most of the time they're actually balanced pretty well. And then there's Heat Stroke from Mario Party 5. In this high-stakes, thrilling game, 1 player has a hammer and tries to smash the platform away that the other 3 players are standing on. Only way for the other players to dodge is to simply jump when he hits it. But what makes this a whole lot easier for the 1 player is that you can fake swing and try and cause the other players to jump at the wrong time, which gives you an easy chance to kill them. And the 1 player has so many chances because just look at all the platforms on this stack here. You have to survive each one and make it to the bottom to win if you're the 3-player team. And you pretty well have to correctly predict every fake out that the 1 player tries, which will be a lot of swings to guess throughout the entire game. I mean, it's pretty fun if you're the 1 player, to be honest, but if you're on the other side, it sucks. Like, really, it isn't a bad concept for a game or anything, but it completely fails when balancing the difficulty, making it just no fun at all. So throughout Mario Party history, they've always had these mini games where all you do for the entire time is simply just mash 1 button. And these aren't great games really if you think about it, but if I had to choose one of them to put on the list, I'd go with Mecha Marathon from Mario Party 2. In this game, you just have to press A and B as fast as you can to wind up these Shy Guy robots. and whoever presses these buttons the most has their Shy Guy fly the furthest and wins. Honestly, all these types of minigames are pretty well the same thing, but I just hate this iteration the most. I don't even know why, really. Maybe it's just because of the computer players in this game. They are so good on hard difficulty. They always seem to go so far. I swear that I heard before that someone tested the input of the computer players and found that they are actually inputting the button more times per second than the N64 was actually capable of registering. I forgot where I heard this, so this very well might not be the case, but don't quote me on that. Regardless, the computer players are still super good. Also, in this version, you have to mash 2 buttons at the same time, which is just harder to do than only 1 button, and it cramps your hands more. And yeah, that's Mecha Marathon. Not much to the game. It'll make your fingers sore, and it's hard to do well in. Mario Party. It's a game of 2 different things. The board gameplay that consists of you hitting a dice block, and the minigame gameplay that consists of you doing literally anything except hitting a dice block. Or so we thought. Guys, come on here. Why is there a minigame that is just about hitting a dice? Do we not do that enough already? I thought the minigames were supposed to break up the core board gameplay, but nope. Not in the minigame Cointagious from Mario Party 7. And yes, let the pun in the name just be a representation of the quality to expect here. What do you do in this game? Well, you simply hit a dice block that can land on numbers 0 to 3. And whatever number you get is the amount of coins that you collect. And then you just keep repeating this until the time runs out. And there you have it, that's the game. Keep hitting a dice block over and over again. Do I really need to explain why this is bad here? It's just boring, and something you already do the entire time. I don't even really know what to say in this segment, because there's nothing really to it. So, hope you got all that, because we're moving on. Alright, so real life metaphor as an example here. When you go to a normal arcade, what is the worst machine when you go there? Right, it's a claw machine. They're literally rigged against you to give you an illusion of winning. That sucks. So when Mario Party then has a claw machine-esque minigame, well, it's not rigged against you at least, but it still sucks. This is the crane game from Mario Party 2. Now the first Mario Party did have a similar minigame to this one, but the Mario Party 2 version of it definitely sucks more. In this game, one player acts as the claw and has to pick up all 3 players to win. The players can try to escape by button mashing, and the claw person has to also mash buttons in order to keep their grip. So yes, the test of button mashing. That's what we're dealing with here. It's just pretty lenient in the claw person's favor, just because you can try and grab all of these guys so many times, and you can even grab 3 more timers, so you even have more attempts to pick these people up. But if you're not the grabber, but rather the grab-e, then you just sit there the entire time doing nothing until you have to button mash for like 10 seconds. And that's all you do. Yeah, man, maybe the arcade machines are even better than this game. Okay, so with all the games we've talked about so far, at least you can say that they're mini games, meaning that they don't really last too long if they end up being terrible. Well, the next game here doesn't really follow that rule. This is The Beat Goes On from Mario Party 3. So how this game works, every player takes turns to press either A, B, or Z, which then get added to a pattern. Then the next player repeats that pattern and adds 1 more note to it. If you hit the wrong note, then you're out. Think of it as a glorified version of Simon Says. But what's wrong with that, I hear you say? I like playing Simon Says. Well, first of all, knock it off with the comments, okay? And secondly, this is Mario Party. Surely we can do better than this. This game's also just annoying and tedious, as it never seems to end. It can drag on for rounds and rounds of this if no one gets out. And if more than 1 person is still alive at the end, it turns into a draw. Like what? All that time wasted for nothing? I mean, we both technically won. We accomplished the goal of the game and got nothing. This game really is just not that exciting overall. It gets tedious after a while and simply drags on for way too long. Are you ready for this next minigame, guys? This is the most epic minigame we're gonna talk about on this list. It's a high stakes, super fast, super intense race on boats. What is this? This is nothing like I described. Well, I can tell you one thing. This minigame is known as Rudder Madness from Mario Party 8. This is just a very slow race through the swamp. That's really it. There's not too much in terms of input. To win, you generally want to stay in a straight line and avoid everything. And that can make this very luck-based because you may or may not have an obstacle placed in your path, depending where you start. And when you do hit something, you just bounce everywhere with very little control. And yes, as you can see, it's so slow. It gets very boring because of it. Combine that with the dominant strategy being to avoid everything and anyone, and you get a game where you just move slowly in a straight line. A literal snooze fest. Mario Party is supposed to be fun, right? So when you think of things that are specifically not fun, what do you think of? Quizzes. Introducing the minigame MPIQ from Mario Party 3. And it is a quiz minigame, alright. And fine, some types of quizzes can be fun, sure, but this one is just terrible. The questions here are seriously all over the place. They'll have super easy questions such as, what is written on Donkey Kong's tie? TK, PK, or DK? Or the questions will be on the other extreme and be super hard. How many times has Chilly Waters been played? What? How am I supposed to know? You mean of all time since I own the cartridge? What madman would keep track of every time they played on a certain board in Mario Party 3? And who would have that info in their head readily available for this minigame? No one. That's who. So because of how messed up and difficult these questions can get, the optimal strategy can often be to randomly click to answer the question and then take a 1 in 3 chance of guessing it right. While this, I'll admit, can make for some pretty funny random situations, but because of this, it really proves that it fails as a minigame. Okay, so the number 1 spot is a bit of a cop-out here because it's actually a group of minigames, but these are what I like to call the rotating the control stick minigames from Mario Party 1. More specifically, Tug-O-War, Pedal Power, Castaways, and Paddle Battle. Even though they're different minigames, they all have the same major problem, their controls. All you do in these games is rotate the control stick as fast as you can to win the game. Now this is pretty infamous at this point, and it is pretty widely known, but come on, I could not put these as the worst game. These games literally caused people physical damage. This is because they were using the N64 controller where the joystick was hard plastic and even had these little grooves in them, making it more painful. People quickly realized that the most efficient way to spin these was not with your thumb, but by using your palm. And by doing this, it actually left a mark on people's hands. It got so bad that while no lawsuits were actually filed, Nintendo did have to come to an agreement with the New York Attorney General, which was to give people free gloves in order to play the game. Seriously, what other minigame is so bad that you go out and take legal action with your Attorney General? On top of all this other stuff, these games were just not fun to play as well. And they even broke controllers at many times. These N64 control sticks weren't made for this kind of stress, and often would completely bust because of it. And all of this combined is what I call a pretty crappy minigame. And now that this is all said and done, let's just hope that none of these minigames actually get put into Mario Party Superstars. I mean, I guess at this point it'd kind of be funny from an ironic standpoint, so maybe this video actually flips my view on all of these games. Wouldn't that be funny? Okay, see you guys in the next video.